from hospital because there's nowhere for them to go, and families then have to step in, and it's nearly always women who have to give up their jobs, give up their careers in order to care for people who are in desperate social need. 1 million are in that situation. This Conservative government has made a huge cut in the social care budget already. They did a sweetheart deal for Surrey, and apparently for Tories now, Surrey is the hardest word. You're supposed to laugh at that point. I do not begrudge the people of Surrey in any way whatsoever, the social care. If you need social care, you need it whether in Surrey or anywhere else. But I want the same for every part of the whole country, and people be treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve. And instead, what the Conservatives are doing is to put a £100,000 cap on social care, which actually goes nowhere near meeting the needs. Somebody with extreme conditions can easily spend £50,000 a year on their care. It's completely unrealistic what they're doing. We will make sure that social care is properly funded and that there will be a social care system that works for all across our society and our country. We believe very, very strongly in that. So those are the three, to me, very, very important commitments on healthcare. So what this government is doing is threatening pensioners. What this government is doing is threatening our health service with underfunding. But this election is, yes, about those issues, but it's about also young people and the future within our society. And I'm very encouraged that since the election was announced, the numbers of predominantly young people who have registered to vote is now coming up somewhere towards 2 million across the whole country. And I'm really pleased about that, because I want every single person who is eligible to vote to register for this election so they can take part in this huge democratic exercise and make their choice about the direction they want this country to go in. Are we going to go down the road of ever reducing expenditure on vital public services, ever widening gap between the richest and the poorest, and ever bigger tax giveaways to the biggest corporations and the wealthiest within our society? Or are we going to do something different, which is outlined in what I believe to be our excellent manifesto for the many, not the few? Take, for example, young people within our society. We all want the best for our children. Everybody wants the best for their children. But you know what? If you live in postcode A in modern Britain, you may end up going to an underfunded primary school. You may be in a supersized class. You may go to a secondary school that is likewise underfunded. You may not be able to get the A-levels or the other qualifications you need. You may not end up in university. Your personal aspirations and your parents' hopes for you are gone. They lose, but we lose, because we lose the skills of that individual who could have become the engineer, the doctor, all the things, teachers, nurses, all the professions and work that we need within our society. And so the Conservatives' continued underfunding of state education means that head teachers are going through the most unbelievable stress of deciding which teacher to get rid of, which teaching assistant to get rid of, which subject to take out in secondary schools, as we see the diminution of educational opportunities for everybody. Is it right? Is it necessary? No and no. We are determined that we will fund our schools properly. But we also recognise that our children need to be able to be well fed in order to learn. And so I'm very proud that in our manifesto we're making it clear, under Labour, every primary school child in England will get together a free school meal every day, so they can be... And that as they go through their education, their schools will be properly funded. And if they want to go to university and they want to continue studying, there will be an educational maintenance allowance available for them. There will be maintenance grants for those who need them, but there will not be tuition fees for university students, because we do not believe people should be penalised for going to university and saddled with an enormous debt afterwards. It's a huge cost and commitment we're making, but we're doing it because we believe that everybody deserves a decent chance in society. That's what an inclusive, together society looks like, and that's what Labour is offering. But we're also offering we're also very clearly offering an economy that works for all. At the moment, we have 6 million people working for less than the living wage. We have 1 million working on 0 hours contracts. We need to change things around. So, within this wonderful book, you'll see a charter of improving workers' rights and improving democracy within our society. But you will also see a very clear commitment of a trade deal with the European Union that protects tariff-free trade access to the European market, and you will see a big proposal of a national investment bank to invest in infrastructure and industry across our society. We invest less, achieve less, and have greater inequality than almost any other equivalent industrialised society in the world. And so, this is the chance. This election is the opportunity. Do we go down the road of a greater gap between the richest and the poorest? Do we go down the road of everlasting cuts in health, ever underfunding of local government, schools having to collect money at the school gate in order just to survive? Or do we instead say, as a society, we're not going to increase the taxes, national insurance or VAT for 95% of the population, but we will be charging a little more for those that have the very broadest shoulders, that the rest of us may be able to develop our own lives and our own ambition. There's much in this manifesto which is innovative and is new, and I'm very proud of it, very proud of the economic commitment we're making and the social justice commitment we're making. And there's other things. I'll just finish on this because I'm being told I've got to stop. You know how it goes. There's many other things in it, but one thing I'm very proud of is I believe our children are all creative. I believe our society is creative. I believe we all have something to contribute. And children don't just learn the main subjects in school, they also learn to stretch their own imaginations and ideas. So on Monday in Hull, Tom Watson and I are going to be explaining why we're bringing in a pupil arts premium so that every child can learn music while they're in school, as well as all the other things they need to learn in school. And so, this is our programme, this is our manifesto, and this is our chance. Our party membership is bigger than it's ever been. Our activity on the doorstep is more than it's ever been. The understanding of the choice in this election is more profound than it's ever been. I urge all of you to do everything you possibly can to get this wonderful woman, please, come forward, elected as the MP for Peterborough. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What I would like to do is ask for questions. We can have a short question and answer, but I would ask that the press wait and let the public ask the questions. Jeremy will be available to give you an interview or give you interviews after this session, but it really must be about the public and hearing from them and hearing your questions at this time.
But if Theresa May comes, I'm happy to start the debate now.
You can answer them so
sure.
that we can get through them. Right, okay. Jonas.
Thank you. Is it true, Jeremy, this year, June, we'll see the end of May?
Very good. There's a gentleman over here. I can't. Can you stand up? Sorry, just so they can bring the roving mic to you. Is there a mic? I think a mic's coming from there.
I generally get by without one.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Thank you. Hi, Jeremy. Ron Graves, Peterborough Trades Union Council, where I'm president. It's lovely to see you back in Peterborough. We haven't had you here for a trades union event for quite a while. We'll rectify that when you're Prime Minister. If you walk around Peterborough City Hospital with its huge PFI debt, and it's true of many hospitals, and you look at all the departments, the departmental signs are there, like diagnostic imaging and so on, and underneath those signs it frequently says provided by, followed by the name of a private company in partnership with the NHS. You've talked about renationalising the NHS. Could you say a little more about that?
Thanks.
Okay. So, just at the front here.
This young man wants to ask you a question. Here you go.
What does strong and stable leadership mean?
Thank you. Jeremy.
Well, Genus, yes, indeed, you're factually absolutely correct. There can be no dispute or doubt about that. This is our chance. It's our chance to deliver history for the people of this country. And we've got 2 weeks and a bit to do it. And it does mean we've got to get out there and do it. Elections are, yes, the crucial part of knocking on doors and talking directly to voters. But they're also about framing the debate. And I've been very, very clear from the very beginning of this election campaign. This is a debate, a national debate, about social justice and justice within our society. Do we as a community and a society walk by on the other side to the homeless, walk by on the other side to those that are poor, those children that are not getting the support and help that they deserve? Or do we intervene? In our personal lives, we would never walk by on the other side, any of us, because that's a human spirit and a human condition. Can't we have a government that doesn't walk by on the other side, ignoring the homeless and the poorest and the neediest? So it is about those fundamental principles that we have as a Labour Party and what we do within our society. So it does mean encouraging a lot of people to get involved in politics. And I tell you this, the activities and in social media, which is the main form of communication of certainly most younger people, is very significant indeed, where that debate is taking place day in, day out. And I absolutely welcome that, provided at no stage is anybody abusive to anybody else. I don't personally abuse anybody else. I urge everybody else not to do the same either. You get a better hearing when you talk sensibly. You don't get a hearing when you shout. Ron, thanks for your point. Yes, I've been in Peterborough many times, and I've been at many union events and other activities in Peterborough, and indeed, Lisa, we were here for the last election campaign. Thank you for being here today. And I believe very, very strongly in our National Health Service as a human right free at the point of use, because it's something very special. Most countries in the world don't have it. You talk to people in the United States. Listen, if we were sitting around in a cafe now, people chat about lots of things. You start talking about your health and say, how are you getting on? You say, well, you know, I've got a problem in the ear. So, okay, all right. And then you talk about it. You say, thanks very much for that. Mine are okay. But you never have a conversation about can you afford the treatment. That simply does not arise. And if you talk to a group of people in a community in the United States, the conversation very rapidly turns on what standard of health insurance you've got. And I was with family in the United States over Christmas, and I was listening to a group of young people talking. Young people, all in work, all doing relatively well, and they all ended up talking about health insurance. That conversation never happens here, and I don't want it ever to happen here. So I'm utterly determined that we maintain the principle of a properly, fully funded NHS free at the point of use. The Health and Social Care Act encourages privatisation within the National Health Service and contracting out of services. So you lose two things. You lose the community of the staff in the hospital all working in the community together, and you end up with privatisation, which means the motive for delivering the service is completely different, and the profits made from it don't go into the health service, don't go to us. They could go anywhere that those shareholders choose to put them. So I'm determined that we'll bring the NHS back in-house. Back in-house, where it belongs. And the last point... Thank you. Thank you for your question. Strong and stable is an odd choice of words. But I think you should understand what strength is about your sense of belief, about your sense of community, about your sense of responsibility when you have responsibilities to carry out. If you're a councillor an MP, a minister, or a prime minister. A couple of things are important. One, never ever forget where you come from and who put you there and in whose interest you're delivering those things. And secondly, when you make decisions, think through very, very carefully who benefits from your decisions, who will be negatively impacted from your decisions, and what the long-term effect of them is. So you can take the quick decision, oh God, we've got a problem, quick, cut public spending on schools, cut public spending on the NHS, we'll try and put it back in a couple of years' time. Or do you say no? You cut spending on schools, you've destroyed the life chances of a generation of school children. Think through what you're doing. We've had 7 years of austerity, 7 years during which public sector workers, the poorest and the most needy in our society, have paid the price of a banking crisis that was not of their making in 2008. And so this election is a choice. There's a very clear choice here. The Labour way of working for the good of the entire community, or the other side's way, which is perpetuating the grotesque levels of inequality that already exist in our society. I know which one I've chosen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There.
Yes.
It's already signed.
Yes, you have.
It says, all the very best. Look forward to you being MP for Peterborough.
Yes. Oh, picture.